there's been times in the past when we've gone into one studio for 4 weeks straight and barely seen daylight, and had a bit of a microscopic scientific thing happen. And you know, that is one type of record, and the other type of record being that you give yourself a little more freedom and environmental change to let things come together. So that was kind of the MO for making Goes and Keys.
Sometimes you don't even figure out what you've really accomplished in any particular room until you get done with it and you've got a break and you sort of get to process it. I guess the idea was kind of to get away from the guitars as a sort of primary harmonic building block, and how and what ended up taking their place was sort of an open question for every song, and we're all sort of, we approached them all really individually, but just making a strummy guitar, a couple of arpeggiated guitars, the default position was something that we really wanted to avoid. If there was anything that I really wanted to try and do this time specifically that I could boil down into a few words, I wanted to do less making things happen and more of letting things happen.
I think there's times, if he was just a producer, he may have a different set of expectations, but because we're all bandmates, there isn't as many expectations in a good way.
God, no, because this record never would have happened if we'd done that.
Live is live, studio is studio. Sometimes in the studio, you have to remember that you are a band and you are a musician that gets on stage regardless of the environment, and you still deliver a performance and you don't overthink it.
I think they really need one another. I think there was probably a point where I would have said I hate being on tour and I wish I could just be in the studio all the time, but certainly now I really think that I think the studio experience and the live experience really inform one another.